In Tallahassee, Florida, it is here where you can find Doak Campbell Stadium, the home of the Florida State Seminoles, as they play host to the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm David Roy, and in the booth with me tonight, as always, is the commissioner of the CFSL, Mike Peters. And Mike, this is a legacy meeting. These two teams, they first met in week 1 of season 1, and the Buckeyes have dominated.
Well, things have changed a little bit since then. The Buckeyes are struggling this season, looking to get to 4-4. Meanwhile, the Seminoles are looking for a playoff spot. They've never won a game in this series. They're 0-5. They need one tonight to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Well, there you see Ohio State quarterback Jefferson Allen, who is looking for a game this season where he does not turn the ball over. Has thrown interception every game this season, 12 interceptions to 15 touchdowns, but they're going to start on the ground with Adam Fuller, and he gets going 12 yards on the opening carry.
Adam Fuller has become a big part of this offense. Last week, a Player of the Week candidate, had over 100 yards rushing and 100 yards receiving. One of the few backs to do that. Look for him to be active in this game as well.
It was his first 100-yard rushing game last week. His second 100-yard receiving game as the wide receiver screen is broken up by Tom Pence.
You're looking for Jefferson Allen to have his first turnover-free game, and that was a situation where he could have had one very early on.
Starting the gun here, 4 wide on second down. A handoff. Fuller finds a crease, but is met pretty quickly there by Akuma Taloke and held to a yard.
Good job there to bottle up the Ohio State running back. You look at both of these teams wearing their Pro Combat alternate uniforms in this pivotal Week 7 matchup.
Pistol set, and Allen with the blitz in his face, dancing in the pocket, and he's going to get sacked by Zach Howard for a loss of 6. His first of the night, and Ohio State will punt.
Well, we talked about it all year, how the defensive line can be a pivotal part of stopping the pass game on the opponent. Zach Howard and Latrell Graves, two big defensive ends that have made some noise on the defensive line. Howard comes up with a big sack there to force the Ohio State punt.
Howard, his 6th sack of the season. He was busy a couple of weeks ago against Florida in particular, as Ohio State will punt in. We will get our first look at the Seminoles on offense, although Tom Pence, a dangerous returner. He showed it last week with a kick return for a touchdown. Still waiting on that punt return, though.
Well, we've been waiting for that punt return for 6 seasons. Maybe a reunion of 2 Season 1 teams will get us our 2nd punt return TD ever.
Ohio State showing blitz. Is Donis Jackson going to feed Vidar Lund on the counter run, and Lund with a first down. He'll pick up 12, much like Adam Fuller did for the Buckeyes on his first carry.
Well, Vidar Lund has had a less productive season than maybe they had hoped for. 4.7 yards per carry. He does have 8 touchdowns, though, this season.
Ran for over 100 yards last week in the loss to Auburn, as Adonis Jackson keeps this one himself, and he'll get 13 on the carry.
Well, Adonis Jackson is a big part of this offense, and him running is very important. Very similar to another guy who has some ties to Adonis Jackson, Javon Mack.
It run the speed option, and Wayne Finnegan, the corner, came up to take Lund as the pitch man there, and it's a loss of 4 for the Seminoles.
Well, right now, both of these defenses are coming out and playing very well. Ohio State's defense, dead last in the league, giving up 500 yards per game, but they're playing well early on.
It's the 3rd straight run for this Florida offense, and they'll make it 4 straight as Adonis Jackson on the read option keeper, fighting to get to the 35, but he'll get a yard shy of that, a gain of 3, and a long 3rd down for Florida State.
I think that was Lloyd Silver. I couldn't tell, but a great open field tackle there to shut him down and force this long 3rd down.
So 2-by-2 look for the Seminoles, and Jackson to throw for the first time tonight. Rolling right, throwing to the middle of the field, and coming back for a ball free on the fumble, and scooping it up is Isaiah Fowler, who brings it back to the Buckeyes 25.
Well, I was about to say what a throw and catch by Florida State, but they popped the ball loose, and Defensive Player of the Year candidate Isaiah Fowler is there to scoop it up, as that one was popped loose by the walk-on Daniel Gonzalez. So they give up the first down, but a big play there by the Ohio State defense.
Isaiah Fowler now not only has an interception on the season to go with a pass deflection and a forced fumble, but he's now got a fumble recovery to add to his impressive stat line, as Allen, flustered in the pocket, throws it away.
Well, that's only Allen's 2nd pass, and he's 0 for 2. The one thing that we've seen about Allen is he's got to get in a rhythm. You got to find him getting some completions early on so he can get in a rhythm and get on a roll.
They're going to empty out the backfield, and a blitz in his face. He threads the needle in there for the tight end, Brett Kaufman, and that goes for 14.
We haven't seen that arm a whole lot this season, at least not firing those darts in there, but he comes in with one there. Nice catch by Kaufman for the first down.
The backfield, Adam Fuller in motion for the speed option on the orbit, and the pitch goes backwards and out of bounds, ill-advised, and it's a loss of 6.
It's more than ill-advised. That's just a no-no. You can't do that there. That is just a lack of awareness. Allen panics a little bit there, is hoping that his running back is open, but his running back's covered up. You just got to swallow that and take your loss.
2nd and 16, empty backfield again. Blitz in his face. Allen avoids the first man and then fires a dart for TJ Danielson, who gets 19 all the way out to midfield.
Well, after a big mistake there and a costly almost turnover, he stands in the pocket there, shows great awareness, and fires a dart there to TJ Danielson and converts the long first down.
Well, and the effort by Danielson to stay upright and actually get across midfield. Ball spotted here from the Florida State 49. Empty backfield again for the Buckeyes, and Allen looking short, and that pass caught by Danielson again. This time he'll get 10.
Well, it looks like Jefferson Allen's rebounded from that near fumble, and now he's found a couple of good receivers. Again, he's starting to build up a little bit of a rhythm and show some confidence.
Pistol set, Jefferson Allen, handoff, Fuller shakes free of one and then gets down inside the 35-yard line. It's a gain of 7, only his 3rd carry, but he's up to 20 yards.
Adam Fuller kind of reminds me of a former running back that we had in this league, Brandon Davis. I believe that was the name that he went by. It's been a while, but a former Auburn running back. He was the first player ever to get 100 yards rushing and receiving, and Adam Fuller is much the same build.
He's been looking good early on here. 3 carries, again, 20 yards, averaging 6.7 yards a carry. As that pass by Allen completed to Braden Ennis, knocking on the door of the red zone. It's a play fake. Allen over the middle, and TJ Danielson's 3rd catch will convert for the first down.
Well, this is kind of something that we see for Jefferson Allen. He has made some mistakes. He's thrown 12 interceptions in 6 games, but he's also got 15 touchdowns. So although he does make mistakes, he is able to rebound from them and make some good plays, and he's having a really good drive right now.
The backfield again, Allen going to the middle, and the tight end Kaufman gets down to the 2, a gain of 15.
Well, Florida State's going to need to bring some guys in the middle. They're going to need Rob Money and Akuma Talok, their middle linebackers, or their 2 of their linebackers, their star-level linebackers, to get in there and start shutting down these passes, because right now Allen's picking them apart over the middle.
Jefferson Allen going to go under center, one of the first times here tonight, and he'll look to throw middle of the field and off the fingertips of the walk-on.
Yeah, it's not going to help you out when your walk-on, who's their 3rd tight end, is out there, tries to go to him. I thought he had the fullback in the flat. He went to the tight end, and he dropped it.
Single back set here, 2 tight ends to the left. Handoff, Fuller, touchdown, Ohio State.
Adam Fuller follows up his big week last week with his 5th rushing touchdown of the season here on this drive for Ohio State. It puts the Buckeyes out in front here midway in the 1st quarter.
Took their 2nd drive to do it, but Mike, as you say, they get that lead, and Ohio State coming off that upset win over LSU last week, looking to do the same to a Florida State team that, Mike, they could still be reeling from their heartbreaker of a loss to Auburn last week.
Yeah, they gave up a 17-point lead with 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. They definitely want to rebound from that. Ohio State, it's been said by Jimbo, his real name, Jake Voynar, his AD and head coach. I was trying to decide if I was going to say that or not. But he said he wants to finish 4-4, and he's got an opportunity here to win his last 2 games of the season. Florida State standing in his way of that.
Going to give it to Lund, and Lund running down the sideline where he's finally pushed out of bounds. He gets 10, and so Mike, Florida State starting this drive the way they started their first.
Well, they really need Vidar Lund to get going. He's averaging under 100 yards per game, although he does have some nice touches. He just really hasn't had a really big breakout game, and they could use that, especially going down the stretch here.
Quick throw there to the tight end, Monte Jones, his first action of the night. Only the 2nd pass by Adonis Jackson, but Jones comes in with 36 catches, 87 yards receiving, and 2 receiving touchdowns. As Jalen Waters motion in the backfield for the triple option, and Jackson going to turn upfield, spinning forward, and he'll get 11.
I don't mind not passing it there. There was a lot of distance between him and Waters, so he just holds on to it. He knows he's got the first down. No need to force anything there.
Jimbo admitting that he misread his scouting report, that he totally forgot that Florida State had a tight end in Monte Jones, as there's his 2nd grab for 4 yards.
I don't know how that's possible, David. We have a league roster sheet that every AD has access to. Quite concerning now for the Buckeyes.
Read option keeper and Adonis Jackson up the middle of the field and still fighting all the way down to the Buckeyes 16.
That might explain why Ohio State started 2-4 if they're not sure what players are on the other team.
Florida State not having that much trouble. They started slow, but they've really picked things up and find themselves in the middle of the playoff race in the SEC.
Well, now he's trying to cover himself and saying that they don't use him enough for him to remember him.
Okay, so he's trying to use it as a form of trash talk here.
It appears to be the case.
That pass to Loon gets 3, and Jimbo's really trying to drive that point home, saying that Jones never touches the ball. Well, our stat sheet says otherwise. He's got 36 catches coming in tonight. That makes it 38. As Jackson going to go short left side, and Jade Brady gets 7 yards.
For those of you that are non-math majors, 36 catches in 6 games comes out to 6 per game. Shane,
so, yeah,
Shane,
Jones never
Shane
touches
probably
the ball.
appreciates that, by the way.
I do.
No, Shane.
Oh, Shane does appreciate that, I'm sure. Loon right side, open field, touchdown, Florida State.
Peter Loon showing some power there, throwing off the defensive player. I think that was Tristan Quintero, the one that he got his hands on and pushed backwards. But he fights his way into the end zone despite not having a lot of yards. That's his 9th rushing touchdown of the season.
So, Mike, when we came into this, I don't really know what I was expecting other than that this was going to be a good game, and I can't speak for you, but I don't think I was really expecting this to come down to a battle of the running backs, as both Lund and Fuller have a rushing touchdown early.
You know, I wasn't sure really what to expect, to be quite honest. I mean, both of these teams have been somewhat unpredictable. Ohio State's mostly used the pass. The run, they're fourth in passing, 14th in rushing. However, after last week with Adam Fuller, you know, it wasn't going to surprise us if they came out running the ball. Florida State early on was throwing the ball maybe a little bit more than they should have been. They've found the running game a little bit more lately, so we kind of expected that, but we really didn't know, and I think there's a lot of game left. We still don't know how it's going to play out.
Well, this drive is not starting well. We'll see how it finishes as Ben Cole reads the read option and takes Jefferson Allen backwards.
Well, it looked like that might have been a blitz, but he does a good job there of taking the ball carrier, driving him backwards, getting the 4 yards on the first down, or the loss of 4 on the first down play.
Empty backfield. Allen with a corner blitz from Pence goes the opposite direction, finds Fuller, and he'll get 3 yards for 3rd and 12.
Well, the important thing there is a lot of times when you blitz the cornerback, you give up spots other places. Pence comes on the blitz, but Allen couldn't find anywhere else to go with it, and they weren't able to pick up much.
Allen to throw. Throw into the right sideline, and the catch and turn upfield is Danielson, who has another 19-yard grab for him. It's his 4th catch of the night.
I think that's a throw that's going to be underappreciated by a lot of people, but you got to respect it. He throws it at the cut, and he gives him time to turn upfield so often. We've seen that route run short of the marker, and we see that throw lead him out of bounds, perfectly executed by both quarterback and receiver.
4 wide here with Fuller to the right of Allen. Read option keeper, and Jefferson Allen has some running room, and the big, tall quarterback able to pick up 12.
And that's one thing that we don't see a lot for Jefferson Allen. Only 49 rushing yards coming into the game, but he does have a little bit of athleticism. He's not just a pocket guy. He can get out there, and it's been effective when they use him.
Down to the Florida State 42-yard line, 2-by-2 look, and a handoff for Fuller, who finds a crease and gets all the way down inside the 30. It's a gain of 14.
I think we might be finding out that Adam Fuller is a kind of a hidden gem in this Ohio State offense. We didn't know a whole lot about him until last week, and he's really making a name for himself now.
Allen throwing left side, touch, no, the pass dropped. Had 6 points on it, but it's incomplete.
Keon Owens not able to haul that one in, had 6, and it's taken off the board, and we got to see how Ohio State responds.
Allen on the draw play for Fuller, and he gets, oh no, he slid. I thought Kumatalo clotheslined him.
Oh, he did. He did, and it just looked like a slide because he hit him so hard, and his momentum was going forward that he went back like he slid, and he actually slid across the ground. But Talok definitely welcomed him into Tallahassee.
26, halfback screen right side. There's Fuller with blocking and open field. Adam Fuller, touchdown, Ohio State.
You know what, David? I think Adam Fuller is kind of good at this football thing.
You think?
Fuller on the halfback screen. Not only is that great blocking up front as we end the quarter with that play, but just good vision there. Fuller makes the catch, turns upfield, follows his blocks right into the end zone, shows good acceleration too, not to get caught from behind. Great drive there by Ohio State.
Halfback screen works off, and Ohio State makes it a 7-point game in the quarter into this. And Ohio State, Florida State, they're in a back and forth affair. Can Florida State keep up with the Buckeyes? Stay tuned to find out. You're watching the CFSL on PX1 Sports on YouTube Live. Kick is away to begin this second quarter of action, and Tom Pence is forced to kneel it in the end zone. And Mike, so far early on, it's been Adam Fuller for the Buckeyes and Lund for the Seminoles.
Well, and I think that might be what we're going to see throughout this game, and I don't think it's a bad strategy for either one of these teams to rely on their star running backs.
Dennis Jackson got trips, bottom of the screen, but he's going to run the opposite direction with the Loon, and he's not going to get a whole lot, only 2 yards against the flow of the Buckeye defense.
That was just a situation of too many guys pursuing and not enough blockers. Good job by the Ohio State defense to recognize that and get over there to make the stop.
And off Loon up the middle this time. He'll find a little bit more real estate to work with, picking up 11.
For those of you that weren't around last season, that comment on Adam Fuller was an ode to Vidar Loon, who struggled early on last season, and I said he might not be good at football. He has shown to be very good at football.
Lund is trying to show he's pretty good at this football thing too, picking up 8 yards there.
That's what I was talking about. Lund has shown that he is very good. Not having the season that he necessarily wanted. Started at Notre Dame last season, transferred to Florida State. Hasn't been necessarily the bell cow, but has been very effective.
Dennis Jackson showing his effectiveness in the running game, picking up 8 yards there.
Das Good says give Loon the ball 60 times. That would be a record, David.
Definitely would be a record. In Nebraska running team, I don't think has come close to something like that, as Loon breaks through 2 tackles and gets all the way down inside the Ohio State 30.
Well, at this pace, Loon's on pace for about 30 carries, and I think if you ask Thomas Pence, his name in YouTube chat, if they would be okay with Loon getting 30 carries, I think he'd probably say yes.
You know what's crazy about that, though? That would not even crack the top 3 in single game rushing carries.
This is correct.
Draw play for Loon, and he is stuffed by Isaiah Fowler, who continues to try to make his case for Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, another guy in this field that's good at football, Isaiah Fowler, one of the Defensive Player of the Year candidates, might be the leading candidate on some people's ballots, and makes a nice play there.
Empty backfield, blitz coming, and Jackson floats it to the sideline. Great coverage there to bat it away.
Lloyd Silver there on the coverage. It was a nice throw, but a little bit too much distance. Silver sat there, waited, timed his hit perfectly, and broke it up.
Pretty wide. Blitz coming as Jackson dancing, threads it down the middle of the field, and that pass intercepted. Tristan Quintero with the pick, and he's out to the 16.
Second turnover of the game for this Ohio State defense. I was going to say, what a job there by Jackson, standing in the pocket and firing that dart. But Quintero jumps in front, picks it off, and gets the second turnover of this first half at Ohio State, now with an opportunity to add to their 7-point lead.
And with the way this offense has been clicking, that would certainly seem the case unless this Florida State defense can force something out of Jefferson Allen as he goes with a play fake and the throw to Kaufman, gets 3.
Well, I'm guessing that was some kind of RPO because it looked like a read option, and all of a sudden Jefferson Allen said, nope, I think I'm going to throw this.
Doesn't get a whole lot with it, but it does pick up some yardage. And to play fake, that pass dropped by Keon Owens, 3rd and 7 now.
And Keon Owens dropped that touchdown for Ohio State earlier in the first quarter. Now he comes up with a first down drop there. His looks are going to get limited if he keeps doing that.
4 line. Allen with a 3-man rush in his face, throwing short for Adam Fuller, but he's only going to get 5 yards, needed 7, and so the Buckeyes will punt.
I think they were actually going for Keon Owens there, and Allen threw it a little bit too low, and that one was snagged out of the air by Kaufman, short of the marker. He should have let that go.
Tom Pence on the return from inside his own 35-yard line. He'll bring it out to the 45-yard line. And so, Mike, the Florida State defense does their job. After the sudden change, they force the 3 and out and get the ball back in the hands of Jackson.
Yeah, good job of limiting no points off the turnover. Now Jackson and company got an opportunity to tie it up.
Jackson from the gun, looking to throw again. Short throw out into the flats for the tight end. Monte Jones runs through 1 tackler before he is stopped after he gets 6 yards.
Monte Jones came in averaging 6 catches a game, but the one thing he doesn't have a lot of is yards. Only 287 coming in, an 8-yard average. I want to see him further downfield making grabs.
Midline read for Adonis Jackson. Tries to outrun the defense left. Shakes free of 1 tackler. And then he's able to get the first down. It's a Buckeye swarm picking up 5.
Got to be a little bit careful getting stood up by this Ohio State defense. Lloyd Silver coming in there laying the hard hit, but Jackson does a good job to cover up and hang on to the ball.
Play fake. Jackson, middle of the field. That pass caught by Waters. A big hit dished out by Silver. Waters picks up 13.
Waters covered there by the linebacker, Isaiah Fowler. Beats him. Good read there by Jackson to go to him, but Silver lays the lumber.
Thomas Jackson to throw. Throwing the left sideline. Monte Jones. That's a 12-yard gain there for the Seminoles.
That's what they need to do, is they need to throw it deeper. He's only averaging 7 yards per carry, but they're going to take a look at this one. I think his feet were in, though.
Twist to the body, and that's clearly a catch.
Yeah, he had 3 toes down there for sure. That was a good job. Not sure why they're even reviewing that one.
After review of the play, the ruling on the field stands.
So it's a catch. It's a catch that would have stood in the NFL. And, of course, it stands here in the CFSL as Adonis Jackson going to come out in the pistol inside the Ohio State red zone. A handoff for Loon on the counter run, but it is blown up for a loss of 2.
Yeah, good job again by this defense of Ohio State. They have been really effective. We talked about it earlier. They came into the league number 14 in the league, giving up 500 yards per game, just an insane total, but they're looking good tonight.
Still again, Jones, the tight end in motion. Read option keeper Jackson stutter steps, tried to find a cutback lane. It wasn't there, and he ends up only getting 3.
Well, 3 is better than none, and so he moves a little bit closer right now. The good thing is they're at least in field goal range, although their kicker has had some up and down issues this season.
Although Blake Harrell has come on lately as they're going to try to set the halfback screen to the left, and the Buckeyes showing their speed on defense, putting Lund backwards for a loss of 1, 4th and 10.
Well, despite that first game where Harrell went 1 for 5, he is 7 for 8 since then, so you got to think that he's in a good spot here.
This Florida State offense, though, wishes they were in a better spot. They'd like to have the 1st and goal situation, if not the touchdown. But nonetheless, Harrell comes out. This will be a 36-yard field goal from the left hash. And with the right foot of Blake Harrell, the Seminoles have cut this down to a 4-point game.
Well, I like the idea, too, of running that play to the left and setting him up on the left hash, so he had a better angle. That was part of the problem in that first game, is they kept lining him up on the right hash. He was having to kick across his body. Nice field goal there. They're only down by 4. Plenty of opportunity for the Florida State team, especially if they keep laying hits like that.
And Wayne Finnegan got decked there. You look at the numbers for Jefferson Allen, and Mike, he's played a pretty clean first half so far.
He's looked pretty good, despite the almost fumble on that one pitch earlier on. He has looked pretty effective.
3 wide and the handoff to Adam Fuller. Here's a guy who's looked pretty good in this opening half. He only gets a yard there, though, but he's looked better than that.
Rob Money in on the tackle, one of 4 former Ohio State players on this team. Money, Juan Cantu, and Tom Pence, the cornerbacks, and the kicker, Blake Harrell, all played for Ohio State last season.
Wide here for the Buckeyes, and it's a draw play. Fuller gets tripped up by Zach Howard, and Fuller only gets 2. He was looking for more.
Well, we saw early on in this game when Fuller was having success, Ohio State was marching down the field. Now Florida State's clamping down on them, and they're facing a 3rd and 7 deep in their own end.
Fuller motion down to the backfield to the right, and Akuma Talok manned up with him as there's that pass by Allen over the middle for Danielson. He'll only get 3.
Well, it looked like Fuller was going to be open going down that sideline, and I don't know if the safety was coming over the top. He went out of the screen, and I couldn't see him. But I thought he was open early on, decides to check it down, and Ohio State will play.
Ohio State, after going pretty well on their 2 out of their first 3 drives, they scored touchdowns with them. Their last 2 have been 3 and outs and punts back to the Seminoles.
I just want to give a punt return clink to the guys. Quit running to the short side of the field. You got room on the outside. You're athletic. Get out there and return one. Dang it.
Pence does get to midfield, though, where Adonis Jackson with a read option. He manhandles Lloyd Silver there and gets 5.
Well, Jackson's a good runner, and he's got a little bit of power to him, too. And he's not the easiest guy to bring down. He's slippery, he's speedy, and we see it there.
Jackson with a 3-man rush in his face, steps up into the pocket, floats it down the right sideline for the tight end Monte Jones, and a flag on the play.
Illegal touching.
Oh, he went out of bounds. Although I thought that was a great route. He goes into the flat, then he takes off down the sideline. And a great job there by Jackson to find him, but he stepped out of bounds. Can't be the first player to touch the ball. After you come back in out of bounds, he does, and it's a penalty. Negates the play.
And costs him 5 yards too. Instead of 3rd and 5, it's 3rd and 10 as Jackson finds Kamorian Moore for 6 yards.
Well, it's going to set up a 4th and 3. They could go for it here, but instead they're going to elect to punt it away and play field position here, down 4 late in the first half.
The Buckeye defense proceeding to get a 3-and-out of their own as the Seminoles will let this clock tick down. It'll be closer, or actually under a minute and a half to go in the quarter, and that'll leave Ohio State with about 120 or so and a few timeouts to try to drive the length of the field and get points.
Well, they'll have plenty of time, and those 3 timeouts, like you mentioned, to at least get 3. A touchdown would be big for them.
So the Seminoles will punt it away, looking to pin the Buckeyes deep. And feeling it from his own 11 is Braden Ennis, and he's not even going to make it back to the 20. And like that's been the story lately for this Buckeye offense, pinned back deep around their own 20.
I feel like I need to go back and find that clip of that punt return and see what happened, because that's like the purple unicorn. I could probably sell that clip for quite a bit, so it's something that never happens.
And you would think that teams would be reviewing that as that pass to a wide open Braden Ennis, and nobody's going to catch him. Touchdown, Ohio State.
Well, we certainly thought it was going to take more than one play for Ohio State to move the ball down the field. Actually, they might prefer it would have been. We'll see what Florida State does here. But Braden Ennis just blows the top off of this defense, wide open for the big touchdown. He came into the game average at 21.2 yards per catch. That's not going to hurt it as he gets his 9th receiving touchdown of the season.
It was a long touchdown there for the Buckeyes, and it gives them 11-point lead. But the good news for Florida State, since it was such a quick strike, Mike, they've got a minute and 3 timeouts to play with.
Yeah, Florida State, I mean, you don't want to give up the touchdown for sure, but you definitely prefer it happens there than with, 10 or 15 seconds left when you can't do much.
So Pence will kneel it. He hasn't really been able to make a run back of anything so far tonight, despite the kick return for a touchdown last week. And so Adonis Jackson and company will come out to their own 25, where Jackson going to look to throw, and he threads that one in for Moore, getting 13, a timeout called.
Just a little slant pass across the middle and get the first down. It's going to stop the clock, although they do take the timeout.
56 seconds of play in the half. Jackson to throw again. Halfback screen right side. There's Vidar Lund fighting with Isaiah Fowler, and it's only going to get Lund a yard.
Yeah, it's hard to get those going unless that middle linebacker blitzes. He does it there, and then he shuts it down for just a gain of 1.
Florida State down to their final timeout as Jackson floats that one to the left sideline, and Jalen Waters pushed out of bounds after he gets 7 yards.
That's a long throw across his body. That's almost a 50-yard throw just to complete about 6 yards.
The gun here. Speed option right side, and Isaiah Fowler. No, excuse me, the walk-on coming in to blow it up.
Yeah, I think that was Aaron Harris that got in there and shut that one down. Good job by the Ohio State defense. And with 44 seconds left, they still have time to score again.
Excuse me, it was Buddy Wells who came through to blow that one up. 46 and 48 looked similar as Braden Ennis, a 5-yard punt return.
Well, Wells only 16 tackles coming into this game, so I'm sure the Ohio State team appreciates his contribution there on 3rd down.
Well, Jefferson Allen does, because he's got 2 timeouts in 36 seconds to try to put up more points.
Well, got to keep an eye on Braden Ennis at the bottom of the screen.
4 wide. Allen with a blitz in his face, and he's just going to throw that one away, and wisely so, to set up 2nd down.
Well, just good coverage by the Florida State defense, not giving him much to work with, so he just throws it down and tries to come out with a better play this time.
Empty backfield here for the Buckeyes. Allen makes an adjustment. Standing in, throwing back left side, and there is Danielson stepping out of bounds after he gets 13.
A nice catch there by Danielson over his shoulder, then goes out of bounds, so they save a timeout. Still 28 seconds to work. Plenty of time here for Ohio State to score again.
Still set. Play fake. Allen dancing in the pocket, throwing to the right sideline, and nearly with his first interception of the season was Tom Pence.
Yeah, who would have thought that Tom Pence, offense or a defensive player of the year candidate a couple of seasons ago, struggling to get his first interception of the season.
They told me before the season started he was gunning for the single-season interception record, and he is not going to get that as Kaufman gets 5.
Well, he gets out of bounds, so it stops the clock. Maybe Penn's trying a little bit too hard. You set your mind on the record, and then you don't even get one. It might be an indication of something.
Blitz coming here. That pass to the left side. Kaufman able to come down with that and get 8 as Ohio State burns their second.
I think they were going for Danielson. He just underthrew it, and Kaufman had to come up with it.
2-by-2 look, 14 seconds and counting. It's Allen with a rusher in his face, and the dying duck of the pass comes out of his hand at the feet of Florida State Seminoles.
He was going for Braden Ennis again, deep at the bottom of the screen, but a great job by the rush from Florida State to hit him as he threw it.
Pistol set, 10 seconds on the clock, a timeout left for the Buckeyes. Allen tries to throw that one deep, and the pass rush forces that one incomplete again.
Well, he had Keon Owens on the bottom of the screen that time, and he was trying to go for him, and again, this pass rush for Florida State bailing him out.
First bomb of the screen, Allen going to be looking end zone. Here's the shot, and a 3-1 situation, but the pass intercepted by Juan Cantu to end the half.
That's his 5th interception of the season, which leads the league now for Cantu. What a great catch there on that Hail Mary.
So at the end of the first half of play, Ohio State still up by 11, though they could be up by more if it's not for the interception by Juan Cantu. But like an exciting first half, but one that is slowly going in the favor of Ohio State.
Well, they've got the momentum right now, I think, and they've got their running back, Adam Fuller, going really well. Jefferson Allen's playing pretty well. I don't think that interception's really going to affect them. Their defense is definitely playing much better than they have all season long, but we often see at halftimes teams adjust, and I suspect we're going to see Florida State make some adjustments. Will it be enough? We don't know. 11-point lead, not the biggest lead in the world. Florida State gave up a 17-point lead with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter last week.
It's a good point, because you keep in mind what happened last week. Florida State, now an opportunity to do it to Ohio State, whereas you look at the two offenses, the Seminoles have been balanced. Ohio State, despite the early success by Adam Fuller, have really turned to the air attack.
I think that's a little bit misleading because of a couple sacks in there, but yes, they have thrown the ball all season long. I think they're going to need to go to Adam Fuller a little bit, but if you also pay attention, the last couple of drives, Florida State's done a lot better at shutting down the run, but has left things open in the pass game.
It was the long shot to Braden Ennis, which does help those passing numbers by the Buckeye offense. And as we come out for the second half, Florida State will open with the possession in their favor and looking to cut into this 11-point deficit as Pence not going to get much on the return. And so Adonis Jackson company will come back out. Mike, you liked what you saw towards the end of that first half from this Florida State offense.
Well, if they use the read option game, I think Vidar Lund's been good all game. Adonis Jackson's been effective when they use them. I don't know if they use them as much as I would like them to, but if they can get that going, they're in good shape. If they rely on the pass all night, maybe not.
Handoff here for Lund, and he had a crease, but he started in the hole looking for a cutback lane that wasn't there, and so he only gets 3 yards.
Well, just good job there by the Ohio State defense to bottle him up and not give him any room to cut back.
4 wide. Bubble screen, the right side, and that pass caught, although a big hit being dished out on Jalen Waters.
Well, they caught Wayne Finnegan in no man's land. He started blitzing. They threw the wide receiver screen behind him, and they wound up picking the first down.
Lloyd Silver with his 6th tackle of the night as Jackson throwing short, of that pass caught by Vidar Lund. He'll get 11 and another first down here for Florida State.
Well, unlike Adam Fuller, Lund hasn't really shown off his skills in the pass game. Only had 25 catches coming in versus Adam Fuller's 56, which is actually more than his carries. But Lund is effective when they do go to him out of the backfield.
From their own 45-yard line, Lund in motion behind Jackson. They'll give it to Vidar Lund, who fights through the tackle by Quintero to get 9 yards.
Well, Lund is not a little guy. He is a big running back. And I believe he's at 235, 6'3", 235. Big boy, and he shows his power on that run.
Blitz from the Buckeyes, and Adonis Jackson fading away finds Monte Jones for a gain of 10.
It's a good job there to stand in the pocket in the presence of a rush and deliver that one for the first down.
Empty backfield here for the Seminoles. Jackson going to take off and run here. A lot of room, but it closes as he gets 8 yards.
I don't know what they fed Lloyd Silver before this game. Maybe they gave him some Wheaties. I don't know. Maybe they gave him some Captain Crunch because he's crunching the opposition right now.
Well, it's been a balanced drive so far for Florida State as you comment upon Lloyd Silver making these big hits. He's had to be called upon a lot, partially because of how balanced this Florida State offense has been. On this drive alone, 3 runs, 3 passes, and this is their 4th pass of the drive. It's a quick check down to the walk-on Thompson.
I think we found a nickname for Lloyd Silver. I think from here on out, I'm just going to refer to him as Captain Crunch.
It fits. It definitely fits. And I am not one who will oppose that. It's definitely a fitting nickname, although that means we just got to find a name for Isaiah Fowler as he puts Adonis Jackson to the turf.
Well, we might be calling him MVP after this season.
Or Defensive Player of the Year.
Depow. Depoy. Yeah, Depoy. I don't know if that's a good nickname, though.
I don't know if it fits. Doesn't sound good anyway. Is Jackson, middle of the field, and that pass incomplete. Guess who? Isaiah Fowler there to break it up.
Yeah, Fowler, anything over the middle, and he is headhunting, and he's not making it easy. Taloke and Rob Money need to take a little bit of a note because they're still getting beat up a little bit by those crossing routes.
Florida State yet to convert on 3rd down, although they will. No, that pass incomplete. Kamori Moore got rocked.
Yeah, and it was Captain Crunch coming across the middle and just makes them snap, crackle, and pop. As that one's dropped, and Florida State's got to settle for the field goal.
Well, if that's the case, the Buckeyes need to have 3 defenders come up and earn each of those nicknames. Have snap, crackle, and pop over there. As Blake Harrell puts it through, and Mike, that now makes him, 9 of 10 since starting the season, 1 for 5?
Yes, you're correct.
Normally I'm bad at math, and I got that one right. So I feel pretty good about myself right now. Ohio State, on the other hand, they got to be feeling pretty good about themselves, although their offense to end that first half, maybe not so great.
Well, they only have an 8-point lead, and it's not something to be comfortable with here on the road against a team like Florida State.
And Fuller to the right side. Big running room for him as he gets 13 yards.
So this is kind of the ebb and flow of football as Florida State started to slow down the run game, and then the Ohio State adapted by attacking through the air. Now they're going with the run game. We'll see how they adapt.
The gun, draw play. Fuller right up the middle, fighting for the first down, but he'll be stopped a yard short.
Showing a little bit of power there, giving Philip Walker a ride, pushing him backwards, and lucky for the Florida State defense, they stopped him a yard short, but a lot of opportunities to get this first.
Empty backfield here with 4 receivers, bottom of the screen, and Allen finds Kaufman, but Kaufman cannot pull it in.
I think it was Adam Fuller, actually, that dropped that one. I would have liked to just seen him run it on that one. We'll see if they go with it here.
Trips left. Hand off on the counter run, and Florida State pushes him back.
The walk on Justin Thomas gets in there, and again, with the defensive ends like they have out there, a little bit of extra attention goes to them. You might forget about those walk-ons in the middle. They come up and make the big stop to force the punt.
Ohio State will punt it away, and again, as you said, Mike, only ahead by 8, and this is Florida State team that was leading by 17 late into the 3rd quarter when Auburn made their comeback win, and Florida State looking to do the same.
Well, it's approaching that time that Griffin Yelkich and company went on their run, and Florida State going to need Adonis Jackson to start getting them down the field and finding some continuity on offense.
It's still set. Jones in motion. The read option keeper as Adonis Jackson gets the first down and out across midfield.
Well, we've seen a lot of teams do this. We saw Michigan in season 2 and 3 with Javon Mack. We saw Auburn for a few seasons with Blake Moon. We're seeing Nebraska do it this year. The run game can help you win even when you're only down 8. I don't know if they're using it enough.
They try to throw it there, and that pass falls incomplete. Whether it was behind or the receiver wasn't ready for it is a matter of conjecture. As an empty backfield here, Jackson throwing short to the right side. Jones breaks 1 tackle, gets 8.
Well, and again, they keep using Monte Jones as a short possession receiver, 7.7 per carry. I think they're way more effective if they can get him deep over the middle and spread out this defense a little bit.
8 tackles for Captain Crunch as Florida State looking to convert their first third down of the night. And they will as Jackson keeps it and works his way down to the Ohio State 28.
Jackson's speed and impatience got the best of him. He had Monte Jones out there, but he runs past him, doesn't allow him to set up that block, but still gets the first.
Fowler's got 7 tackles tonight as Jackson, middle of the field. That pass caught by Jade Brady, picking up 9.
Well, now they're doing a good job of mixing up what they're running and throwing. They're going with some option run games, and then they're throwing some short passes to keep the defense guessing, and it's working really well right now.
2-by-2 look. Jackson throwing middle of the field. Jade Brady again, this time down to the 2.
Well, Captain Crunch in there again on the tackle, but it's a 1st and goal, and he and Fowler are going to need to come up big here.
1st and goal for the Seminoles as this Buckeye defense led by Captain Crunch and Isaiah Fowler looking to turn the Seminoles away. It's Jackson from the gun. Handoff, Lund, and Fowler gets the first stop.
That's a loss of 3 yards on the play.
They got him the first time. Fowler gets there with his 9th tackle, 3rd for a loss, but they need 2 more.
And that gives Isaiah Fowler, by the way, 17 tackles for a loss on the season. It's a read option here, and Jackson broke free of 1, but then Buddy Wells Wayne Finnegan gets the credit for the tackle for a loss.
Well, you got to give credit to this Ohio State defense that's playing as well as we've seen them play all season long, and now they went from a 3rd and goal inside the 5 to a 3rd and goal from outside the 10.
Silver got back there first on the previous plays. Jackson forced to throw, goes short. Lund can't even get back to the 5 for 4th and goal.
Well, they did a good job there, did the Ohio State defense, and I think what we're finding here late in the season is even though Ohio State's out of it from a playoff perspective, they're finding that they have 2 really good players in Isaiah Fowler and Lloyd Silver on this defense.
Lake Harrell converts and closes a gap again. It's down to a 5-point game and 2.5 minutes to play in the 3rd. But, Mike, at some point, Florida State's got to score a touchdown, you would think, right?
I think they will at some point, more than likely, but I don't know the way this Ohio State defense is playing.
Wayne Finnegan, decent return there. This Florida State defense has been stepping up. 4 out of the last 5 drives by the Buckeyes have ended in Florida State taking over. One of those was the interception by Cantu to end the half. Allen with a 4-man rush in his face, tries to take off and run, spinning free and then getting 3 yards on the carry.
It was a little bit ugly. He tried to scramble and then almost wind up getting sacked, slips through that, then puts the walk on Denny Harris on skates before he rebounds and makes the tackle.
The gun and Fuller in motion. Allen short to the middle of the field. There's Ennis out to the 40. Danielson, excuse me.
You know, that previous play reminds me of one of those Hallmark movies during Christmas where they're at like the skating rink or whatever, and they're doing little pirouettes. That's what that defensive tackle did there.
1st and 10. Play fake. Allen dancing right, comes back the left side. There's a walk on Hall getting 5 yards.
Nice and easy. That's all you got to do. Don't force any mistakes. You've got the lead. It's not the biggest lead, but if you can keep adding field goals and all Florida State can get is field goals, you're in a good spot, but you really like a touchdown.
Jefferson Allen looking, dancing right, throwing middle of the field. That pass caught by Ennis. Ennis has got breakaway speed. Touchdown, Ohio State.
What a big play there. And the only thing I can think about is going into this offseason and selling recruits that they could come play with Jefferson Allen Fuller, and now Braden Ennis, who's one of the most explosive playmakers on offense, to go along with Isaiah Fowler and Lloyd Silver on defense. Ohio State's got the makings of a really good team in seasons to come.
Second touchdown catch of the night by Braden Ennis, and it's the second one of at least 50 yards for this Ohio State offense. Is Tom Pence. He's a dynamic returner, and he cannot break away there. So we'll take this time to give a shout out to everybody in the YouTube live chat. Got Isaiah Fowler, Tom Pence, Juby, Jimbo, Jacob Schneider, T. Smith, Jeff, Kilowatts, Georgia fan, Scott Fountain in here, Coleman, Anybody else I might have missed, I do apologize. I know Bronco is in here as well. It's that pass complete to Kamori and Moore, and it's a gain of 12.
You know, I keep thinking about it. I don't know if there's a core group, kind of like those 5 guys that I mentioned for Ohio State, on other teams, especially considering that they're all freshmen. I mean, this could be a really good team for a really long time.
Brady gets a catch for 22. In Florida State, I mean, you think about it, teams like Florida State and LSU would like to try to get into that conversation, you would think.
Well, I think Florida State thought they had it this season. With bringing in Vidar Loon, with getting Adonis Jackson, you know, they had their guys coming over, like Penston Cantu and Money, and then they got Akuma Tolok. They got 2 really good defensive ends. They thought they were going to be there. But you know, it takes more than just talent. We've seen that from Ohio State for much of this season. They struggled early on. They seem to have found it. Florida State really hasn't figured out their identity yet. They do have some good pieces, but, you know, coaching and game planning and execution are a big part of the puzzle. And right now, we just haven't seen that consistency from Florida State yet.
Isaiah Fowler, 11 tackles, 3 for a loss tonight as Jackson gets sacked for a loss of 2 on second down.
You know, and this has kind of been the story with Florida State much of the season, is they have moments where they look like they get it all together and then they start kind of falling apart. And honestly, I think part of it is they don't have that break open player like Braden Ennis. They've got Monte Jones. They're only 5-star receiver, but they use him on, you know, 7-yard routes so often. They use him more like a possession receiver, much like Auburn does with Bubba Davis. The problem is Auburn's got Cross Ferry that can stretch the defense along with Michael McKenzie. Florida just doesn't have that kind of dynamic talent.
Loon gets 12 yards on the carry, so he does pick up the first down, gets it down inside the 10 for first and goal. But, Mike, this offense has struggled down here.
You know, we'll see if they can finally punch one in. The defense has played really well down here.
Jackson throwing end zone, and that pass intercepted. Captain Crunch is showing he just can't leave big hits. He's got good hands, too.
I was trying to think of a serial reference, and I couldn't come up with one. But a great job there by Lloyd Silver. He's been laying the lumber all night long, and he comes up with a key interception to keep points off the board for Florida State.
Look at where this offense is starting from their own 1. Goal line set. Fuller with the carry, trying to go outside to the right. He will. And he'll get 8 yards, trying to get the Buckeyes out of trouble. And that's how we end the third quarter. Ohio State up by 12 and looking to add to it. You're watching the CFSL on PX1 Sports on YouTube Live. Start of the fourth quarter here from Tallahassee. Play fake. Allen. Quick throw to the wheel route. There's Adam Fuller, who got left all alone and pushed out of bounds at the Ohio State 39.
Well, that was good balance there. He was almost able to keep himself on his feet and in bounds, but a little bit too much momentum outside. And it just shows you how dangerous Adam Fuller is on those wheel routes out of the backfield.
I want to remind everybody that if you're enjoying the CFSL and you love what you're seeing, don't forget to leave a like. It's very important for us that you like the content that you're seeing here. Number 2, if you really love the CFSL, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications every time that you have a broadcast show up for us, as TJ Danielson showing up big for the Buckeyes tonight, getting 12 yards there.
Well, Jefferson Allen's really starting to come of age. 359 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, leading his team very well here against one of the better teams in the SEC. It's been known for several seasons that the SEC is a stronger conference. Big Ten's always kind of been behind that. Ohio State wants to put themselves back at the top of that Big Ten and show that the Big Ten can compete with the SEC.
Down to the 43, play fake. Allen throwing left side. That pass caught by Danielson again, this time for 11 yards, but it's another first down.
Well, and Georgia fan Bubba's Karaoke and Cruise video says that he would start running in here. I can't disagree with that.
Allen playing with fire as he gets sacked for a loss of 9.
Well, that's the walk on Denny Harris getting in. We saw him spin around and then make a tackle on the last drive. This time he just powers straight up the middle. Coming up with the big sack. It's going to be a long 2nd and 19. And even if you're not turning it over, you can take 9-yard losses. Very rarely will you take a 9-yard loss on a running play.
2nd and 19, 7 minutes to play. Allen throwing this one to the right sideline, and that pass caught by Danielson.
That was Brett Kaufman, the tight end, on a corner out there, and he was matched up with Money, but it was zone coverage, so Money releases him. Allen sees it, fires a dart on the sideline for the first down.
Tight end Brett Kaufman was making plays early on, kind of disappeared from the offense, and now he makes a resurgence here late to get it down to the 16-yard line of this Florida State defense. Kaufman, the tight end in motion, pistol set. Allen looking, goes short. There's Kaufman breaking one tackle, and then Howard there to bring him down for a loss.
One of the things I hate to see is players try to arm and shoulder tackle. Money goes for the big hit there, tries to tackle him with his shoulder, doesn't make the tackle, doesn't come in to bite him too much, but, it was just wrap him up. Teach your guys how to wrap him up and make tackles. Captain Crunch would disagree with that, though, by the way.
Allen throwing corner. That pass caught by Owens, but he's out of bounds.
Keon Owens has to wonder, if he's got some kind of force field in the end zone. He dropped one in the end zone before. That one he catches on the sideline, but it's just a little bit too far out of bounds. He just can't seem to get a touchdown.
And off on the draw, and Adam Fuller gets bottled up. Kevin Watts there with the tackle, and Ohio State going to have to call upon Rodrigo Alvarez.
Oh, yeah, because Blake Harrell transferred after the season, so the freshman comes in. Only 6 of 9 on the season.
This one from 35 yards out, and he misses.
Yeah, not the way they wanted. I didn't mind that play there, setting up the field goal, trying to make it a 15-point game. But again, the left-footed kicker on the left hash got a kick across his body, can't punch it home.
Tight angle there, going to give Florida State possession from their own 20. Down by 12 with 6 minutes to play, and Jackson to the middle of the field. There's Waters, and he's going to pick up 20 to get out to the 40-yard line.
Well, there's plenty of time here for Florida State. They're only down 12. They've got at least 2 possessions left, maybe 3. They've got an opportunity, but they've got to move the ball down the field, and they've got to punch it in the end zone.
Moving the ball, and you see the offense there pretty balanced. 29 runs, 31 passes. We're going to see a little bit more of an air attack as the Seminoles try to work their way back into this. As Jackson wants it all, and a diving catch by Jade Brady.
Well, that was the knock on Florida State that I said earlier. They don't have any 5-star receivers like Braden Ennis, but they get their 3-star Jade Brady out there with a nice diving catch. A little bit better throw by Jackson that could have been 6, but it's a big play nonetheless.
The Ohio State 26-yard line. Here's Adonis Jackson. Handoff, Loon trying to outrun Fowler. He does shake free, but there's just too many Buckeyes around him for him to have a big run there. Held to a 1-yard gain.
Well, I think Ohio State started to realize that they're not really scared of this passing attack necessarily. They're shutting down the run game. They're going to force Adonis Jackson to beat him through the air.
Jackson to throw here, floating it. And that pass nearly intercepted by Tristan Quintero.
Yeah, Jackson living a little bit dangerously there. Puts a little bit too much air under it, goes to the covered receiver, and is lucky to have another shot here.
2-by-2 look. Jackson dancing to his right. Steps up, throwing a laser right into the breadbasket of Jalen Waters, but he can't pull it in.
Well, and this is part of the downside of having 3-star receivers like this. They're able to come up with big plays like Brady made earlier, but they're capable of making those easy drops.
And Jonathan Jones able to come up with a big hit there to force the incomplete pass and potentially, Mike, end this game.
True. I mean, it forces the turnover on downs on 4th down. They haven't seen a lot of production from their defensive line. Jones, the only star-level player, something they probably want to fix in the offseason, but he comes up big there.
Jefferson Allen on 1st down has to throw that one away. 2nd and 10 upcoming.
You know, it's amazing how undervalued defensive line was for so many seasons, and now we're finally starting to see a shift that people are really putting emphasis on defensive line. Ohio State only having a 3-star. I mean, it's kind of played into their struggles this season, although they're making up for it here, forcing Florida State to pass, and Jackson just hasn't really been able to beat them doing it.
Florida State has put some value into their defensive line. Latrell Graves, Zach Howard, who made the hit there for a loss of 1. Third and 11, handoff for Fuller, working his way outside left, cuts back upfield. He's got the first down.
Only thing I can think back to is the Auburn game last week where Conrad Wallace was like, why are we running it on 3rd and 5? I'm like, they ran it on 3rd and 11, and look what happened.
When it works, it works. As it's a play fake here, Allen dancing to his right, has time. Taking a shot downfield into traffic, and that pass incomplete.
Well, that was a dart, and T.J. Danielson got his hands on it, but a lot of traffic around him. Can't really blame him for not holding on to that. But that was a great throw by Jefferson Allen.
Empty backfield. Allen with a blitz up the middle, but he's able to get the pass out for Fuller, and Fuller down the sideline all the way into Florida State territory, out at the 32.
Well, he's up to 97 yards receiving, looking for a second straight 100-yard receiving game. He is such a dangerous weapon out of the backfield, and it's really going to be something that teams are going to have to worry about, especially if the Ohio State defense starts playing like they are.
Not only that, it would be Adam Fuller's third 100-yard receiving game of the season. He's only got one 100-yard rushing game by comparison. As Allen goes short for Keon Owens, he'll get the first down.
Well, finally, Keon Owens comes down with one.
First down.
It took until, midway through the fourth quarter, but Keon Owens finally able to hold on to a pass. 4 wide here as Watts has got his 7th tackle, and Fuller with the carry, working against Zach Howard there to get 2.
Just an excellent job for Ohio State tonight, on the road even, to come in. The big difference, I think their offense has played like it has most of the season. The big difference is their defense really played lights out tonight.
They've been able to work, and Allen to the corner route. He hits Kaufman there, gets 7. It's 3rd and 1 now for the Buckeyes.
Well, those of us in the game would refer to that as an out route, but nonetheless, it was short of the first down.
Empty backfield.
David hates when I correct him on that, by the way, if you couldn't tell by that long dramatic pause.
Allen gonna let time tick away.
Him and Matt love calling those out routes corner routes. They think anything that breaks outside is a corner route.
I think the way I see it, though, it's less the pattern and more just to the corner of, because I see the corner of the first down marker in the sideline. So I think in that term, I guess. Is that pass caught by Ennis, and he turns in after breaking the tackle for 6.
What a great game by Braden Ennis. His 3rd receiving touchdown of this game, and he's really come along as one of the more impressive wide receivers. We're seeing Dijon Swan go out. Swan's been over 20 yards per reception this season. Braden Ennis looking to take that torch as the next great receiver in the CFSL.
So, Mike, in the grand scheme of things, you've mentioned Ohio State and what they've been able to take from this game that they can use in the offseason as far as recruiting pitch, all the star players that they can sell and say, look at who you get to be a part of and who you get to play with. But for Florida State and for this season, what does this game mean for them? Because it's non-conference. How much of a role can this play into their playoff chances?
I don't know if it's going to play a lot because if they win next week, they should be in. Wow, what a nice run there by Vidar Lund, trying not to wave the white flag yet. Florida State, if they could beat LSU next week, they should be in. I can't see a situation really where they're not. So I don't know that it's really going to affect them a lot. You got to wonder if that played into a little bit. They know they've got a huge game coming up with LSU next week. Huge. And maybe they didn't run their best game plan tonight. Maybe they left a little bit under hiding a little bit. They left a little bit on the field because they don't want to give LSU their best game plan next week. We don't know. We'll never know. We'll figure it out next week, as that one almost picked off by Jalen Bryan. Another guy that we haven't really mentioned because he's had kind of a quiet night is Wayne Finnegan. He's another guy. He's he's tied for 2nd with 4 interceptions this season. Florida State just hasn't really been throwing at him, but you add that to that group of stars on this team. They don't have a lot of room for 5-star talent, but they got a lot of room for 4-star talent. And if they can find some, guys to mix and match here, they got a lot of really key pieces.
Jackson taking a shot to the right side, and a diving grab there by Moore for the touchdown. Well,
right as we talk about Wayne Finnegan, he seems to have not been playing very hard there. That's probably going to affect his pro draft stock there. He's in double coverage out there with the walk-on, and they let the receiver get behind him for the touchdown.
Florida State pulls back within 12, 2:06 to play, and they're not out of it, but as you said, really looking towards LSU next week, and I'd like to think, Mike, that they would have loved to go into that game with a win as Fuller recovers the onside kick, because you think about it, they lost that heartbreaker to Auburn last week, and they lose here at home.
I'm not saying that they didn't want to win. 100% they wanted to win.
Right.
My question is, did they put out their best game plan in this week? Did they take Ohio State lightly? Maybe. Were they reeling a little bit from last week? That's maybe also true. But ultimately, I'm sure they knew that the game next week is the most important game of their season, and maybe they were like, okay, let's try this there. We want to win it, but we got to save a little bit something maybe and leave a card up our sleeve for LSU. Might not be the case. Maybe this is their best game plan. They just didn't play well. But, things like that just kind of make you wonder.
So as pointed out, Florida State has to go on the road next week for that really big matchup in the SEC as they take on LSU. Ohio State, on the other hand, you see Jefferson Allen putting in some work here tonight as he gets a first down. The Buckeyes have to face their rivals, as they refer to them, that team up north.
Well, Michigan has struggled a little bit this season. They got a big game on Friday with Nebraska. They would like to win that game and go into Ohio State, or go into the game with Ohio State with a little bit of momentum. Another point of interest for that LSU game next week, LSU's AD was the former AD at Ohio State, Russell Mania, and the AD of Florida State was the former defensive coordinator at Ohio State, Tom Pence. It's just a little bit more juice, so to speak, as those two be squaring off for the first time.
Yeah, there was that matchup. And talking about LSU's got a big matchup this week as they take on Auburn.
That's a big game. That's a huge game. Auburn with a win clinches the SEC. LSU with a win keeps themselves alive in the SEC race, along with the playoff race. A lot of big games down the stretch here to decide who's going to play for a championship.
Jefferson Allen going to take his time here with this snap. And they'll finally give it on the draw play. Adam Fuller going to get close to the 15-yard line as the Buckeyes really working this clock.
And Fuller, 89 yards. You saw he had 97 receiving. So his second straight game with at least 89 yards rushing and receiving. A very good dual threat, all-purpose running back there.
Rodrigo Alvarez, because he gets called out here, try to make another field goal from this left hash. He missed one earlier from this same side of the field.
Yeah, when he struggles over there, why not set him up for another one over there?
So as we get under the 30-second mark here in the fourth, Alvarez, this one from 33, makes that one.
Well, he knocks it home, and it makes it a 15-point game. This game is over. Now we're just moving on and looking forward to the rest of the games this week. Obviously coming up tomorrow, an interesting matchup between Clemson and Miami.
The Clemson-Miami tomorrow. Friday night's games are those big ones we highlighted. LSU at Auburn and Michigan at Nebraska. And Miami really needing a win to have any shot of making the playoffs. Even with a win tomorrow, they would need a lot of help to get in, but the possibility is there.
Yes, it's an important game for Miami. You got to win the games that you can, and so a win over Clemson and Florida at the end of the season would give them an opportunity. They definitely need help, but it's an important game for them, so a lot riding on that game.
Clemson, on the other hand, would love the opportunity to play spoiler tomorrow night for those Miami Hurricanes, who I'm sure and no doubt would love to do the same to Florida in Week 8 as Jones makes that catch for 12, as Florida State would love to get another score before the end of the game.
Well, Clemson is looking to finish 4-4, much like Ohio State is. So they're going to be playing with a lot of fire next week against Miami, or tomorrow against Miami.
Jackson on the Hail Mary, and that pass is caught by Jalen Waters. It's a 51-yard grab to set up first and goal, but time has expired, and so Ohio State gets a win here, 35-23 here in Tallahassee.
Well, you really can't say enough about how Ohio State has continued to fight all season. They fell behind and out of the playoff race fairly early on, but they're not giving up. They're continuing to come on and take it to teams. They're really setting themselves up well for recruiting this season. I think they've got some really key pieces, and I'm excited to see where this program goes from here.
So Ohio State gets a win here, 38-23. from Doak Campbell Stadium over the Florida State Seminoles. Tomorrow night, we'll be right back here on YouTube Live with Jeff Malmission and Tyler Smith on the call for Clemson at Miami in a very major showdown for the Hurricanes. For Mike, I'm David. We'll see you then.